Welcome back to the Wii YouTube channel, everybody. Today we have Ben with us once again to introduce a fabulous new product.
Yes, I'm excited, man.
I'm so excited.
Okay, how do I talk about this one, Seth? Okay, so here's the deal. I released the Banter 2020.
Yeah.
2.9-inch blade, and the people were like, make it bigger! And I'm like, I'm a small knife guy. Everybody knows I like to be able to get to the end of the blade with my fingertip. Like, that is Ben's finger test.
Right.
Patent pending. Right? So, this is like...
Boom!
It's a bit of an abomination, but it is a Big Banter! so many people wanted to see it that I'm like, all right, who am I to deny the people what they want?
That's right.
They want a Big Banter.
That's right.
And so I think in my head, I'd always kind of planned to make a bigger knife, maybe 3.5 inches. But after people were like, make it bigger, I'm like, all right, let's do this thing. So 3.75 inches, it does not pass the finger test. So if you're always like, Ben always likes small knives, you're right. This knife is for you, it's not for me. I made it for you guys!
There you go.
Which feels really weird, making a knife for... not for myself, right?
Yeah,
This is a knife for the people. But what I found is, so we released the Banter. We got all my carded today. This is fun.
Yeah.
We released the Banter and people said, make it bigger. Well, then we released the Baby Banter.
People were pissed.
They were. And I'm sorry. Like,
what are you doing making it smaller?
This is what I wanted. But it's actually kind of cool because I think if I'd just gone and made a bigger Banter, it would have been the exact same handle. It would have just been bigger. Well, what happened is we made the Baby, and then everyone was like, you made a small one, and we hate you. But what if you made a big one just like the Baby Banter?
Yeah.
With the finger choil, because that's the biggest difference between the original Banter, the OG, and the Baby is the finger choil. People were like, we love the choil, we want it bigger. So I'm like, well, what if you start to combine them into a single knife? And that's sort of where I landed with the Big Banter, was like, let's make it bigger, but let's take the design cues from the Baby Banter and put them into the Big Banter. And that's what I ended up doing, and I'm pretty stoked about it. Just pretty stoked because I carry this thing and I'm like, it feels so big in my hand. Like I got probably medium, largest size hand. Look at if you're choked up, look at that.
Big old hand could
you and I could almost double fist this thing.
Right? We could use it together.
We could. It's not as big as like maybe a competitor's knife. There's a brand that makes really, really big knives. This is in the big category. But a couple things. As I started researching big knives, I actually bought probably 5 or 6 big knives just to carry them, to understand them better. And so the Banter and the Baby Banter, they have this straight line from the blade into the handle.
Yep.
And it actually, I love it. It means that in your pocket, it's kind of a straight line. I like it. However, as I made the Big Banter and put it together, I realized that the bigger the knife gets, the more the curve on the back of the handle has to be. And so I ended up, you'll notice that's probably the biggest difference between the 3 models, is this Big Banter just has this really flowing curve off the back, where the Banter and Baby Banter are more of just this radiused corner. So I'm excited about that. It actually fits in the hand very nicely. I literally made probably 12 cardboard prototypes on this thing because I couldn't get that handle right. And finally when I got it, I was like, all right, we're there.
Nailed it.
Just gonna check that box for myself, right? Nailed it. But and then I took it around. I took this cardboard to my neighbors, and I'm like, so I've got a neighbor that is into knives, and another one that loves knives, and then the mailman too. His name is Chris. The first time he met me, he's like, you're the knife guy. And I'm like, sweet, you're going to handle all of my prototypes now.
He gets to deliver everything to you.
Yes. So anyway, I had all of them test it, big hands, small hands, and they're like, you need that curve in there. So that's probably the biggest thing. But then I wanted to kind of figure out, there's this weird thing that happens with the choil. So you have a sharpening choil on the Big Banter. Then you also have a finger choil, forward finger choil. And I haven't seen that done a lot. A lot of companies kind of have this guard on there, and I asked the people on Instagram, I was like, do you appreciate the guard? Do you want the guard? And they're like, well, if it's a hard use knife, then it should have a guard. And I'm like, cool. Well, if you have a guard, then you can't have a sharpening choil. And they're like, well, why don't you do both? And I'm like, this is your knife. This is the people's knife. Yeah. It's like, this is what they wanted. So
let them have their choil and
their
finger. Let them have their sharpening choil and their finger choil too.
And I again, This is a knife for the people because I look at that and it looks really wonky, but it does mean that you'll be able to sharpen your knife right to the edge of the blade. And you get the finger guard that keeps your finger in place. So especially where this is kind of designed, as I was designing it, I thought of like, my uncle had a farm and we used to go on his farm and like feed the pigs. And like, I just felt like this should be a farm knife. If you're opening bags of seed or whatever,
Pig feed.
pig feed, you're like, sweet, you need it.
Interesting inspiration.
Yeah, pig farming.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of like this hobby farm that they had pigs, and we'd go and like feed them old milk. That's what we did. It was great. So part of that kind of idea is that this should pierce a little bit better too. So we put a swedge on the front of it, 20 CV steel, and then flat grind. Basically, all the features of the Banter. So if you're a fan of the Banter, but you're like, Ben, make it bigger, this is the knife for you. So flat grind, 20 CV. You got a swedge on the front. A little bit thicker blade than the S35. 20 CV is always a little thicker just because the stock comes that way. Ambidextrous pocket clip on it, so you can carry it left or right-handed. Titanium thumb studs. And then we also put the liner in the front. So the Big Banter will be linered from the beginning.
Right.
So we put some weight reduction in the liners. So it is kind of beefy though. 4.4 ounces for the micarta and what was it? 4.8 for the G10. Should we show the G10? Sorry, we just been talking about.
Yeah, let's show it. However, these are early-ish prototypes.
Yeah.
So I don't actually have the. Do you know? You usually know. Are these the two versions that will be released?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
These will be released, and interestingly enough,
And let's look at that one as well.
yeah. So your versions here are actual. They're probably second prototypes, because when I got it, I felt like the weight was just a little off, and so that's why we put 4 weight reduction holes into the handle, into the liner. And I think it turned out nice. Like, this is actually the first time I've handled it after that change, so it's fun that you have those, because it just reduced the weight just a hair. I don't know the exact number, but it feels right to me now. It doesn't feel so bricky.
Yeah.
But it is a brick. Like, it's a big knife, man.
It's a big knife.
4 ounces, 4.4 ounces. That's a big old knife. So black, you got the same. You got DLC stonewashed, and your black handle, and then the blue anodized titanium.
What's the overall length on that thing?
It's really grande.
I asked him because I don't have the spec sheet with me. We didn't measure, but
We didn't.
By the time this video comes out, we'll probably
It'll be on screen.
throw it in there. It'll be on screen.
Super grande.
Yeah, super.
Bien grande.
The Big Banter has a whopping overall length of 8.34 inches. The blade length is 3.69 inches. The closed length is 4.65 inches. The blade thickness is 0.13 inches. The handle thickness is 0.48 inches. The weight is 4.1 ounces for the micarta version and 4.36 ounces for the G10 version. The Big Banter has an MSRP price of $175. You'll find that for a little bit less at dealers, and it will be available right around mid-November.
So that's a Big Banter. I hope you guys like it.
Is this it? Is this the end of the Banter? Are we done now?
There's a saying I like.
Okay.
Art is never finished. It just escapes. And I think in some ways that's what the Banter series is for me. I think that, like, a new Mustang comes out every year. A new Accord comes out every year. I don't know if the Banter will have that kind of legs, but why not? You know, if people are still, like, that's, at the end of the day, if you guys are still excited about it, I'll keep making it. Right?
I mean, they got the Big Banter.
They got the Big Banter.
What else? What else do you want? What do we need? What's next?
What are you gonna clamor for? Make it. Anyway, that's my philosophy on it. I think size-wise, this is it. I can't see it going bigger. I can't see it going smaller. But when you think about a knife, again, thinking in themes, you can make it bigger, smaller. You can change materials. You can change opening mechanisms. You can change lock types. Like, there's a lot that you can do with it within the same chassis. And that's what's exciting to me, is we sort of, people have always said, like, the Banter's so blocky and ugly, and I'm like, well, what if you start with a block and then you start carving it out? And I think the Big Banter kind of has that, where we've started to carve it out a little
Yeah.
bit. It's like, well, what if you did contoured handles? What if you did a button lock? What if you did a flipper? Like, it just, when I start thinking about it, I'm like, man, there's a whole world we haven't done yet. And I mean, if people keep buying them, I'll keep designing them, because there's literally, like, it's a great chassis that we can have
Yeah.
a lot of fun with.
I love it. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give one away
Oh boy.
on this video.
Yes.
In the comments. In the comments, let us know what Ben needs to do next, or the banter would be perfect if.
This is going to hurt so badly.
Fill in the blank. Any of those comments will get you entered in to win. We'll announce the winner like a week from when this video goes live, and it will just be announced back here in the comments.
Love it.
Don't pay attention to the scammers, anything like that. You'll get a pinned post from our official account saying that you won, and that's how you'll know.
Awesome. Thank you for having me on, Seth. It's
Thanks
always
for
a
being
pleasure,
here.
man.
We love it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you check out all of the other videos that are dropping at the same time. Lots of good stuff coming from we and Civivi. Thanks for stopping by.